We're back with the third episode of the All Grit Podcast. It is your adequate host, Caleb Annual, here with the boys, Clay, Bowley, Adrian, Labra. How you doing, fellas?
It feels nice to be on a victory Monday. Feels good, boys. We're back.
Back on track.
We are so back.
Clay, we're going to get you a microphone for episode 4, I promise.
Sounds good.
If I have to go down to Goodwill and, wire up a USB, I will make sure that we're mic'd up episode 4.
Sounds good.
All right, with us today as well, what do you call them? They're not special guests, are they, Adrian? They're more like an extended family to the pod. So
Brothers.
With us, yeah, exactly. With us this evening is 2 of the original All Grit podcasts when we went to the Detroit Lions practice this summer?
Training camp.
We had these guys with us today. So joining us is Ivan Labra and David Plaxco. How you boys doing today?
Doing great.
Doing great, as if a weight has been lifted. Happy to be here also.
The weight's lifted. Well, let's get right into it then. I want to know your guys' thoughts on Game 3. We are, what do you think? Ivan, you start us off. Welcome to the pod. First drive. What do you think?
First drive was dominant. That's how the Lions should be playing. Every possession. What I've been saying this whole season. No, so that drive reminded me of the Rams overtime when they played against the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Like the line was very dominant. It was beautiful. The perfect person to give the ball, Montgomery, as they should. What else? First half was great. Second half for offense was a little iffy. Still a little more question marks or just chemistry they needed to build. But it was great to see. I love the trick plays. Love some of the.
We're going to get into all that. We're going to get into all
yeah,
that.
Mm-hmm. Some decisions that was made. Some decisions I'm still not questioning Ben Johnson, but
I definitely think he listened to the podcast last week. We told him to run the ball. Clayton was saying, run the freaking ball. And that's what he scripted for the very first drive. It looked beautiful. He must have been listening, man.
You know what, Adrian? I couldn't agree with you more. I wrote down in my notes, literally, the whole first half was under the theme.
We're back.
First was under the theme O-line / Monty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the O-line just. Did you compare this week's rushing attack to last week's? And you could drive semis through the holes that they made this week.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if their defensive line is just, that much lesser than Tampa Bay. What do you think? Or was it just O-line just dominating?
O-line dominated for sure. I think they were just mad from last week. I think they left a lot of things on the table and they just came out. They didn't leave anything out. They just came down and just set the tone. It was a tone-setting drive, that opening drive.
What kind of stats do you have, David? I know that you were talking stats a little pregame. What kind of rushing stats did you pull up?
Yeah, I mean, similar sentiments as already been mentioned. It's obvious that the run game was crucial. Not inside the building all week, but I got to imagine coach is saying, someone has to pay for last week. Someone has to pay. They didn't play their best ball. There's a lot of maybe head scratches on play calling, but it was pretty evident from the start. Ben Johnson, heavy dose of Montgomery, 23 rushes. Gibbs had 16 himself. But yeah, he dipped back into his bag. We got the one play we'll talk about here shortly. But really, I think the star of the show is defense. Even in the second half, when things kind of got dormant, there was never really a time where I felt as if we're in trouble. Cardinals 1 for 9 on third downs. They made some plays, but when it came down to it, they're getting them off the field, and I think field position was a huge factor as well in the special teams.
That's an amazing stat, 1 out of 9. Especially we were dropping like flies, whether it was defensive line, whether it was safety, because I think didn't he go into concussion protocol again, Branch or
That was
something?
at the end of the
Branches in,
game.
yeah.
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 So I mean, they were, and like David said, I wasn't really scared. The only thing that they were doing is kind of throwing up, not a Hail Mary, but just deep balls. And if they would have connected with one or two of those, it would have changed the game completely. But he
Yeah.
was off on those deep balls. He was 4 yards off every time,
Yeah.
or getting picked off in the end zone. So 1 out of 9, you got to be very happy with that.
Yeah,
With
for sure.
with the injuries too, it didn't let we didn't lose the momentum. That's always scary when you just have
Hmm.
minute breaks every seemed like every play was an injury, but the momentum we didn't lose it. We just
Yeah. I don't know
How
if you
many
guys
times did you think Terrion Arnold was done for sure? Like
I,
5 times.
yeah, like twice for sure. I was like, okay,
It
he's
just
done
seemed
for the
like
day.
every drive he was like it looked clear that he was done, but he kept battling back. Hopefully
Mm.
he's, good for next week. But yeah, he was an animal as well.
Yeah, I've heard both sides, but I thought Terry Arnold played great. Like considering he's a rookie, his third game. I know he's gotten the PI calls, he gets a PI call in the first drive, but I'd rather him get a PI call than being someone like Cameron Sutton last year where he's not even there. You know what I mean? Like he's two
Yeah,
states away from his guy.
yeah.
Like at
Jeff
least
Okuda.
Arnold's got hands on this dude. You know what I mean? Like,
Every time I see
he's
this guy, I'm
rookie.
comparing Jeff Okuda, because they
uh-huh.
kind of line up on their wide receiver the same way, which I hate. I hate seeing Terrion Arnold put two arms down. He looks like Jeff Okuda, but yet he's there. Jeff Okuda was 15 yards off of his receiver every time the ball
Hmm.
got thrown to a wide receiver.
Mhm.
So it's good to see. You just like Clay said last week, it's not college, it's the NFL. They're a little more less with the handsy in the NFL, so they're going to call it.
Yeah.
They're gonna pick on him too, being a rookie. So, but that's just more. I think it's more practice for him. Like,
Yeah.
but they're definitely picking on him for a little bit, especially after that PI call. But
Yeah, they're testing him.
So if I were to ask you boys a question, I did a little stat here. I want to see what your thought is. We'll go around in a circle here. Without looking at further stats, what do you guys think? Yard per carry. Don't
For
look
the
down.
Lions,
Yard per carry between Gibbs and Monty.
I think it was.
Ivan.
Go ahead.
Monty
Any,
probably 6 yards. Gibbs would probably be like 4 or 5.
all right. Ivan or Adrian.
Yeah, I'd say average was around like 5.5 for both because we had almost 180 yards
Okay.
rushing.
Who
Or
out of those two, who's got more though?
Monty
More,
had the most.
yeah,
Okay. Clay.
Monty had the most.
I think Gibbs had more. To be honest with you, 4 yards per carry. It seemed like I don't know, but it's like around that 4 or 5 for each of them.
Okay. Dave.
I think Gibbs probably had more per carry. He had 7 less touches, still had 83 yards. Um,
My
seemed like
boy's
he
doing the
was,
math.
yeah, it seems like he was darn near 7, 8 yards a carry at times. But Montgomery definitely did the dirty work.
Right. So this stat kind of blew my mind. So you guys are circling all around it. Monty, 4.6 yards per carry, which you'd think, wow, I mean, he was busting off 11 yarders and
hmm
13 yarders, but he had more carries. So Gibbs, 5.2. So Gibbs had more, 5.2 yards per carry. But still, if you're averaging anything over what, 3.5 or 4, I mean, that's considered a
yeah,
good rushing attack. And we're at
yeah,
4.6 and 5.2. So, I mean,
yeah,
you could run all day long with those numbers.
When you're constantly at 2nd and 7 and 2nd and 6, that's your playbook's open.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Except we were
The
at
one,
2nd and 5 and yeah.
Right,
So
for
it
sure.
was
the one,
even that much better. Yeah.
the thing about Montgomery is he only falls forward no matter whether he's hit behind, getting first contact, behind the line of scrimmage. Even if he's got 2, 3 guys on him, he somehow manages to fall forward for positive yardage every
yeah.
time.
Let's
Or he
talk
gets
about it. Let's talk about that play then. Monty, what was that play?
where he's
where he
levitating in
learns
the
to
air for
fly.
10
Where
yards.
yeah,
When he floated.
have you seen that meme of Simba like being carried, like Rafiki in the back? That was Monty.
Dude,
So, I mean, I think he got carried. He said he got carried about 3 or 4 yards in the
I
air.
swear, like where it started to like where they
Yeah.
put the ball, it was like 8 yards, dude. For
That's
real.
the team, man. That's the team having your back, man. St.
That was
Brown,
awesome.
James St. Brown jumped in there. He started
Really?
pushing. That's just. I think that's when you're just like, we have a good football team, man. Like, oh, that's that grit coming out.
Hmm. Yes, sir.
All right. So I do have one thing that we kind of talked pregame a little bit about, but how y'all feeling with Bates and the use of Bates, our kicker? So we know that he missed an extra point, first one of the year, first miss of the year entirely.
Mhm.
Thoughts on him?
Yeah,
Is it?
it test the leg eventually. I know the
Yeah.
fourth downs, like Dan Campbell gets emotional, but eventually you're gonna have to start test that leg. But that extra point was ugly. That boy was
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah, he's developmental, man. They're investing in him. They're giving him the opportunities he needs, and he's getting them. But it was like the fourth quarter where we were like 4th and 2 or 4th and 1, and it was kickable.
Yep.
Dan
Mhm.
Campbell chose to go for it to try to run the clock out instead of going up by two
13.
scores, or is that two possessions or whatever?
It would have been 13. So yeah, two.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a 51 yarder from what I recollect.
right.
And you got I mean, sorry, you got to go. You got to put three. I mean, I was listening to sports radio all day today, and they were like, Dan, you got to add more points to the board.
Yeah,
Because
but
that's when you
I
get to the
won.
playoffs, you got
Yeah,
to be ready for those moments.
Right.
You're battle
Field goals are
tested.
points.
yeah. I wonder if that missed kick swayed his decision at that point. I wonder.
But
I
at
feel like
some
those
point,
extra points are one-offs. I'm glad it happened early.
Hmm.
Hasn't been shown to be a trend yet.
not
I
yet.
don't think that would.
But at the same time, I think
There's
this
something going
coaching
on.
staff has more. Don't they have more? What's the word I'm looking for? They're more comfortable with him kicking a 51 than they are a 25. I mean, we all
Yeah.
know that he's almost missed more extra points than he has 45 plus.
Hmm.
So that's why
Yeah.
I don't understand,
Yeah.
he plays aggressive, and then right there it's kind of, well, some would say conservative, but aggressive to go for it on 4th and inches, but I don't know. I think you take the points there and extend the lead.
Hmm. Hmm.
What else you got, Ivan?
Anything from the game?
Yeah.
Are we still saying the first half?
Oh no, we're open.
Okay.
The whole
Let's
thing?
go. Yeah, you want to go to the second half?
Cool.
We haven't even talked about hooking the ladder yet, right?
We haven't talked about that, but that was a pretty cool play.
That was
One thing I did want. So second, yeah, I think second half, same thing with the inconsistency of offense. So like when the defense would stop it and we would have the ball, I don't know. There were some plays where it was the opposing defense could like they knew what we were doing, which it was totally noticeable. Seeing some of the players shift, and also with that interception, I think it was in the third quarter or fourth quarter
Hmm.
that the linebacker got on Goff.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Well,
I think it's just
here's a question along with that, Ivan, that came to me on our poll here in the chat. This comes from Abraham Onares. Even though Goff had a good game on paper, does it feel like he was still struggling? What do you think?
I don't think he's
yes.
hit. Yeah, I don't think he's hit. He hasn't hit golf from last year yet, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, we don't still have the same Goff from last year. It's weird. He's like
First half, he was 100%, dude. 12 for 12.
he was, but that could happen when he just for some reason he's not that himself anymore. I don't know what it is. Weird.
Him and
Hater.
JMO
You
got to
want
give him the
Stafford back?
same.
No, I don't want Stafford back, but I think he just seems to be in his mojo. Like he has so many weapons with him, like take advantage. And also with being Ben should know that as well. So like change, not doing so many trick plays, but make it easier for him to have better, well, not better options, but it was perfect because when this game Laporta was more active in the last two games. Like that's what I like to see.
They were
More,
listening again to
Yeah.
last week.
more tight end
hmm
action.
I mean, you
More
think he
tight end
was more
action.
active, but I heard that he only caught like two balls.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that hard to believe? I mean, that's more active than what he was in Tampa. I mean,
It's true, but it was
two
more
catches.
effective.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Those two catches were more effective.
I think they were both for a first down. Maybe that's
How
why I like
about
that.
how about Brock Wright being tight end one last
Yeah.
night?
Yeah, exactly. He filled
And,
right in when
and he might have to keep going because Laporta might have a little ankle sprain.
yep.
I've heard people saying, save him for the December, January, and let him rest for 3-4 weeks. So we'll see if Brock Wright needs to step up.
I think Brock's more than adequate
Yeah.
to fill a
Yeah.
role. He's obviously not quite the same level, but his pass blocking doesn't make, he's strong.
Yeah.
It seems like he makes a tough catch every game. I like where we're at with Brock Wright if he needs
Yeah.
to be number one for a second.
I agree. Got a question from Gilladome, Mark Gilladome. What's up with all the tight ends this year? Did the NFL forget about that position? So since we're talking about that,
Like
I mean, if you
NFL
look,
wide.
yeah,
Yeah, my fantasy teams ain't getting much from my tight ends. It's like boomer
anybody who
bust every week.
drafted,
Kelsey.
Kelsey number one out of the receivers is regretting it.
Jimmy
Hashtag
Cook.
Nick.
Yeah, I mean it's happening league wide with just teams not scoring as much. I didn't listen too much into it, but just defenses running more cover two to keep stuff in front of them. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on just kind of low scoring games this year.
Personally, I like it. I like a little defense. I don't need it to be 40, 50 points a game, but I have
Yeah.
noticed that it seems like across the board, there hasn't really been a whole lot of teams just really blowing people out.
Mm-hmm.
And I know with Kelsey and Kelsey in particular, it seems like he's doubled and tripled just about every play. They're just not going to let that happen for him. I'm sure he'll, things will open up for him as the
Yeah.
season goes on. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of been more of a defensive laden season so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Got another question here, boys. All right, this might be a little comical, but we're gonna go with it. From Lisa Graham 1, do you wish you were still in the Silverdome?
No.
Oh, look at all
No.
those faces. Ugh. Heck no, bro.
I say no.
Are you
You know
guys
why?
old enough to have been there, though? I have been there.
I have not.
I
I've never
went
been.
one time. I was very young.
Yo,
I think it has a little bit of nostalgia, similar to not maybe, yeah, maybe similar to Joe Louis Arena.
hmm
But
Mm,
Ford Field's pretty nice, and it's
Yeah.
probably got to be top three most rocking stadiums in the league
yeah.
right now.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. I think if the Silver Dome was more associated with winning more, then maybe we'd miss it more. But no,
Uh-oh.
Ford
We
Field.
got breaking news, boys. Just
I
hopped
was
on my phone here. Breaking
I was
news in the
about
middle of the pod. Go ahead,
Good
Ivan,
or
break it.
bad?
I just no, it's just an injury. So Ian Rappaport, Pro Bowl and All Pro center Frank Ragnow suffered in a partially torn pec, making him a week to week. So a brutal reality for one of the NFL's toughest players who injured is it's very early in the game, but the belief that it's not season ending, so it's not season ending. He can be back very soon. So probably let's say like 3/4 of the way of the season, he might be back.
All right. So he's out on Monday because then we have the bye week.
Yeah.
So you can get, 2 weeks for Dallas. So we're sliding Glasgow to center. That's why we have him. Who's our left guard? Awasaki?
Owasaki.
Who's our backup left guard? Who do you guys
Or
think?
is Kobe Sorsdal? Does he play guard or tackle?
He's more
Is he more of a
tackle.
tackle now?
Yeah.
Skipper's he's had a couple snaps there.
Skipper could play guard.
Pass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's tall. He's very tall. He
Yeah.
usually plays tackle.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
not
He
good,
got banged
guys.
up
That's a
yesterday
tough
too,
one. I
right?
mean, those
What's
pec
that?
injuries similar to hamstrings. It's easy to re-aggravate. Hopefully, yeah, like you said, maybe we can get by it without him Monday and then give him a little extra rest. But I mean, he's gonna fight through whatever he can. He's an animal, but yeah, that's not good news.
That would explain a little bit why he did let a couple pressures get to
Exactly.
Goff yesterday. Because
I was upset with him on that sack right down the middle. It was like in the third, fourth quarter that killed the drive.
Yep.
He let the guy just run right past him,
mm,
and the end of the drive, I think it was in the third quarter, but that would explain it.
look
He
at
was
that.
hurt.
Breaking news. We're breaking news here on the All Grit podcast. Mr. Ivan on
Caleb
Twitter
bomb.
sphere. Let's go. All right, let's get to our last segment of the pod here. We got 2 questions to ask both of you, or actually all of you. It's no longer both of you. So it's our segment, who fumbled the ball and who gets the game ball. So like I said, you might have to think about who fumbled the ball because not a lot of horrible plays out there. But if one pops up into your head, go ahead, boys, take it. Who fumbled the ball for you in yesterday's game?
I got one.
First times our O line played great, obviously with the rushing, but penalties, man, these false starts are so annoying. Like so many times you'd be second and 7, second and 6, and all of a sudden you're looking at second 11, second and 12.
Mm-hmm.
That was yours
You,
too, Adrian?
you read my mind, dude. My notes, like Graham Glasgow, Decker, and Sewell all got false start penalties yesterday. That was very annoying because, like you're saying, it was like 3rd and 2. Now it became 3rd and 7. Didn't get it, killed the drive.
Yep.
So got to clean that up. And granted, it was the first road game, not as good with the noise. Like this is your first game with all the noise on offense, but yeah, that's who fumbled the ball for me.
All right, good. We'll write her down. Dave and Ive, you got any thoughts on that? I do have one, but like I said, it's pinching pennies here.
Yeah, I think you guys pretty much covered it. Just mental mistakes is about the only negative I can take away. Schematically and everything else, I think everything is pretty strong, even on individual level. But penalties definitely hurt there at times.
Definitely better than last week for sure. Well, here I go. Let's throw Bates in there for a fumble.
Okay.
Let's just say if that game had to come down to a point, right? Because we saw that happen. Who was it this past Sunday that missed? Was it the Giants? Their kicker got hurt or whatever and missed 3 field goals. They scored 3 touchdowns, but missed all 3 extra points, didn't they? Am I
No
making that
idea.
up? That sounds
No
familiar. But they ended up losing because of not having an accurate kicker. So I'm just thinking if Bates, I love the guy so far. I love him, but I am nervous every time he comes up there. Even when
Yep.
Prater was up there, guys, when Prater lined up, were you nervous? I
Nope,
wasn't.
you knew he was kicking it in.
I knew Prater was
Dude.
kicking that straight down.
I missed
Yep.
them. Yeah, they were automatic. He had those neon cleats.
Yeah. And he's
He had
the
a
only
couple
kicker that's
bombs
still
yesterday
like
too.
Yeah.
sniffing salts on the field and throwing that
He's an
stuff on the grass.
OG. Yeah, dude. OG.
All right. Who's your game ball? Let's start with Adrian. No, Ivan, go ahead, take it.
Aaron Glenn, straight up.
Defense.
Aaron
Yes.
Glenn, AG, the
Okay.
whole defense looked great. It did suck with the injuries, but everyone stepped up if somebody had to, get out. So, Barnes was leaving, who else? Branch. When those accumulated, they didn't, no one did any
Mhm.
mistakes, or they just, when their number was called up, they showed up,
Yeah.
Agreed.
basically.
Adrian, same
Agreed.
thought?
Same thing, defense, but I'll go, just to be different, I'll go Kirby Joseph. This safety gets his 2nd pick of the year. We got another interception. And not only that, he was all over the place. It was that 4th down and 6 that Arizona had towards the end of the fourth quarter. to keep their drive alive, and he had that pass breakup. So he did an outstanding job tackling just all over the field, keeping that grit, keeping that attitude through the end of the game to save us. Great job to the defense. Like Kyler Murray had a perfect passer rating last week. People don't understand he was feeling hot. This offense dropped a 40 burger on the Rams last week, and our defense kept them to just one touchdown. So hats off to the defense. It's
And
crazy that we're leaning on them now.
and remember, we held him also to 43 or 46 rushing yards, which
And
is
most of that
well
was on that
below his
first
average.
drive.
And if
Yeah.
you think that was only on like 4 or 5 attempts, because his first 2 attempts went for like almost 40 yards. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we kind of shut him down, which is a huge Aaron Glenn step up in the right direction, because as you boys know, running quarterbacks have been our Achilles heel the last couple of years, aka Justin Fields in Chicago. But I digress. Clay, what you got for us? Game ball.
I like the defense too. I want to be different in a second, but to add to the defense was that fourth down stop that got challenged by Dan Campbell. That was such a stud stop. But I
Yep.
do want to be different. I'm gonna say Jack Fox with
Oh, the punt god.
Solid pick. Good
Yeah,
pick.
great pick.
four 5 punts, 4 inside the 20, and I think 3 of those were actually inside the 10.
Mm-hmm.
Say it
So when we're
louder,
going
Clay.
back and forth in that fourth quarter, third and fourth quarter, I mean, he just every time, man.
People are
Solid.
scared of him throwing the ball too. Like I was noticing their special teams, they were kind of waiting to make sure nothing happened. So then that lets our gunners get to the ball
Yeah.
for that inside 10.
Yep. Well, when you put on tape that you throw from your own 10-yard line on a fake punt, then that will make
Mhm.
the special teams tend to lay off of
Heat
the.
up a little bit.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
All right, who's left? Dave,
Yeah.
you got a game ball?
A lot of different ways you could go. I hate to say it. I wouldn't say it's a vanilla pick, but I mean, I think Montgomery had the game this week that I think we all expected of him last week. 23 rushing attempts. You don't really see that many rushing attempts from running backs in the league these days. And 105 gritty yards. Nothing easy, but yeah, I think the offense and the defense feeds off him at times. So
Yep.
I'll let Demo get this one this week.
There you go. I like it. So mine kind of agrees with that one a little bit. So can I do 2 game balls, but you'll understand what I mean when I say that. So last week I threw Ben Johnson under the bus and I said, Ben, you were so predictable. You were pass, 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 run.
He was hurt by what you said, bro.
And
Took
so
it to
he heard
heart.
the pod. He did say, I heard the pod, and
Right.
I'm gonna run it back. So I said, can you at least throw in like a hook and ladder and just like try to just throw off the defense at one time? And sure enough, Mr. Ben Johnson
Yes,
throws in a
sir.
hook and ladder. So game ball to him for going back to Dave's original comments. The dude is just getting back to what he knows he's good at. Don't overthink it.
Mhm.
You know your clientele, you know your team, just go for it.
Yeah.
And last but not least, the guy who single-handedly closed out the game, Vanilla Vic. And you will hear that name from time to time as the podcast goes on. Mr. Vanilla Vic. Do you know who I'm talking about? None other than Jared Goff. The white Vanilla Vic. That dude runs.
He's got
They couldn't
wheels.
stop him.
Got loose
They
on him.
couldn't stop him, boys.
What a
Did
play
he
call
look,
too.
he looked faster than he did the last couple of years. Did you notice
He
his
looks
speed?
like Vic. I couldn't tell the difference.
They didn't
And then
see
he
it come-
slid. He's like, I don't need more yards. I already got the first down. Let's go home.
Mm.
He
So-
slid because I was yelling
First down.
slide. I think that's why he slid.
There you go. Vanilla Vic game ball. All right. We're going to close out the pod. This is our first pod that's going to go on our. Go ahead, Adrian. You close us out with a couple shout outs too.
All right. Well, real quick, I do have some questions left. I got to show this question because 2 people asked it on my chat. Kevin Rodriguez and Robbie Armswood from New Jersey. Thoughts on the pick 6 called back and the 2-minute warning incident? Just quick hitters. What'd you guys think?
We got lucky.
That's the new Lions, man.
We got
3
away
years
with that.
ago, 3
Really?
years ago. That's
I thought-
counted. I don't know.
I thought it was totally fair. Like I swear it was right on the money how the ref said it. Like it was close, but the refs executed it bad. But you could see the offensive line gave up.
It's
You could
it's
see
just
them
one of those.
standing.
Yeah, they did. It's just one of those plays that years ago, when the whistle was blown, it screwed
Yep.
the Lions.
Yep,
It
and we're
always
just getting it. We're just getting
now
the favorite. We're just tides are turning. Like
Yeah.
refs blew the whistle and tried to protect Jared Goff, and I think, because it's like one of those things. Like Caleb said, just that air feels like that would have went the other way 5 years ago.
It's always tough with slow-mo too. I mean, slow-mo makes things so obvious. Live it's a bang bang play. Plus, they had the call in the field.
Yeah.
That always plays a factor. But I mean, when you slow it down, it looks like we might have got away with it.
But yeah, that's true. Years before that would have been against the Lions. But
100%.
14-point swing too. I think we got 7 on that drive, so that's a 14-point swing.
that was a hook and ladder. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. They were so mad about the call that like let's run the hook and ladder.
That's when I touched
Nice. All right, quick shout out to Armando. He requested us to talk about his boys, the Cowboys. He's a Dallas fan, and how atrocious their defense is. And I told him that we'll see him week 6.
Good answer.
All right, good answer.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
In Dallas, Jerry World. All right, real quick,
Of course.
a word from who? Our
sponsors.
sponsor.
Potential sponsor.
Oh, potential sponsor. Guys, this podcast is getting legit. Auto Obsessed Detailing. If you live in the Grand Rapids, Michigan area and need your vehicle detailed, look no further than Auto Obsessed. You can reach out to them on Instagram or Kevin Rodriguez directly. Now, if you want to be part of the All Great Podcast family by sponsoring your business, please contact any of the hosts for more information.
There you go. Maybe if we get that in writing, get a little contract wrote up, we can actually afford for Clay to have a microphone for the podcast next week. Do you think we could do that?
Like $20 on Amazon. So
Yeah,
anybody,
got you.
please donate to Clayton.
GoFundMe, whatever it takes.
Ooh, that's a good
Start from
idea.
the bottom, boys.
Let's open a GoFundMe, the All Great GoFundMe. We'll get Ivan an actual Lions shirt so he doesn't have to wear a blankie.
What?
Is that the same blanket from the practice facility that we went to?
Sure is.
I think he brought it in the car because he was cold in the front of the
I
car.
don't think
remember?
he
yeah.
remembers because he was asleep the
Sleeping the whole
entire
time.
day.
I was asleep.
You were. We dropped Clay off, and you were asleep before that dude got in his car.
It's like an
Oh, that
hour
was
away.
good. Good time.
Little did we know it was the beginning of something special.
It's the beginning of the podcast.
All grit.
All great, baby. All right, well, that'll do us for episode 3. We'll probably name this. What do you guys want to call this podcast? Label it. Because last week it was Hutchinson Arrives, something like that. We'll see. You'll see when you open it
Then
up.
back
But,
to the basics.
back to the basics.
During the
I like
desert,
it.
man. We have a rough history in the desert.
I like that. Something with the desert. Something
Yeah.
playing on the
The
desert.
basics in the desert. Let's go. All right, we're signing off. This is the All Grit Podcast. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.